Hello, it's Nikki, and today's analogy is a very theatrical one, but it's hopefully one that you will resonate with and will give you that nudge to say, it's showtime, baby, and it's time to get things up and running and doing what they need to do. So, as a child, I began acting from being about 4. Not professionally. I didn't start kind of auditioning properly until my teenage years. But from about 4, so nearly 40 years ago, I loved that space of play and imagination and connecting with others and community. And for a long time, it was just about that. It wasn't about earning money. It wasn't about rejection. It was just being about part of it and enjoying it and loving the process. And very quickly it became apparent, maybe 4.5, that I knew that I wanted to have it as part of my career going forward. And I was right. That 4.5-year-old was right. I did want to do that. I went on and trained and went to drama school, and it's been great. And I also know the 2 shifts that I am required to have within that industry. And as I said, I learned this from a very early age. There are 2 elements. There's the rehearsal stage and there's the showtime stage. So being in the rehearsal stage is very much about playing and exploration and trying different things and being open and learning lines and beginning to create the structure and essentially put something together. Then there needs to be that element of showtime, being able to give people what they want and sell tickets and meet expectations and blow people away and be reliable and consistent and all of those things. And I've learned that over the years of that importance of both of the stages. But once you are up and running and you're in the theatre, as it were, they're there to see what you've prepared. They don't care if you were doing something else in rehearsals. They're going on what they are seeing right now. And so how does this relate to you? I've seen this stage a lot over the years. So whether this has been people who have said to me, oh, I would love to be an actor, or I'd like to do that, or I do some singing, or I do whatever. You know, all of those people that they all will say it, whatever industry that you're in, like, oh yeah, my daughter's sister's cousin does that. And quite often, a lot of those people are always just going to be in the rehearsal stage. So whether they're singing in their shower at home, or whether they write something but they never share it, it's very much behind the scenes. And to then shift from that safe cocoon of a rehearsal space, or whether this is you doing your creative work at home, into showtime mode, takes a different gear shift. You are then opening yourself up to being vulnerable, to getting it wrong, to seeing where your gaps are, to judgment, to feedback. And the process of all of that, I mean, this is why people get nervous, right? The purpose of that can feel scary. So what happens when things get scary is most people say, I just want to stay in the rehearsal room. I don't want to I'm enjoying myself over here. Actually, maybe we don't need to show it to anybody. And I see so many businesses being in this rehearsal space. What I mean by this, and maybe you've been through this process too, of tweaking, fiddling, altering things, getting stuck in ideas, going down a path and then suddenly changing everything at the last minute and never actually going live or going into showtime mode. And what happens there is that even though you might convince yourself that you're having a lovely time, and that is actually the better version, being in that rehearsal mode, because also it makes you feel very busy and fulfilled and excited. What you're actually doing is you're missing out. And yes, of course, putting yourself out there, being visible, it can be scary. And so by potentially staying in rehearsal mode, you are missing out on all of the great things that your audience might have to say. People actually paying you for what it is that you do. And also, I often work on the basis that when you get something out there, we always assume that the feedback is going to be harsh or really critical. But sometimes it can be said in such a light-hearted way. You know, the amount of times when I've been in a show and you go for that first technical rehearsal and the director's sitting in the auditorium and they look and they're like, oh, that positioning of where you're all standing, it doesn't work now. Now we're in the theatre. It worked in the rehearsal space, but now this group of people can't see what you're doing. And so sometimes it's just a logistical thing of, you don't know what you don't know until you get yourself in that situation. So again, there can be that moment of saying, oh my goodness, what if I put my course live and something goes wrong or something happens? And maybe that might be the case. Maybe something might go wrong. Maybe there will be a glitch or a link not working. But I tell you what, the only way to find out is actually to do it, because that's when all of the stuff happens. And you know, generally people will be understanding. I believe that lots of people make mistakes and we have to give ourselves grace and we give others grace, and it's all a great thing. But please do not allow yourself to convince yourself that you only should be living in the rehearsal room. And I often find this sometimes in the chats of like, we're doing the things and we're having like deep and meaningful conversations. But actually what you want to do is get clients or customers and put your business out there and take it to that next level. So finally, I will also say that both of the stages are very important. There will be some shows that are like, you know, winged together and thrown up and a sales page and an ebook and a thing like by the end of the afternoon. And it might not be very good because you can tell there's been no thought or preparation behind it. And so don't forget about that rehearsal period, you know, where you play and you discover and you learn and you research and all of that. But make sure you do have that showtime as well. For more information of how I can help you and support you, do get in touch. All the details are down below. Lots of love. Bye.